Good evening. Welcome to our school board meeting of November 13th. Would everyone please stand and join us in the flag salute? Salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All righty. Thanks for joining this evening. Mrs. Diamond is not able to join us tonight. She had another board meeting down in Southern California. I'd like to report out on our closed session. We had a conference with labor negotiators pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.6. Information exchange, no action was taken. And then we'll move on to public comment for items not on this agenda. Anybody want to make public comment? Please step up to the podium.
Thank you. Hello. My name is Jay Hotchner, and I serve as the Employee Union President. The comments I'll provide this evening are made on behalf of district faculty and support staff who elected both myself and the members of our union leadership team to share their experiences, questions, and concerns. The relationship between district employees and the CUSD is governed by two employee contracts. Each is the result of the collective bargaining process, where employee representatives advocate for improvements suggested by the employees who elect them. This legally protected process is designed to improve working conditions, economic stability, and the quality of employees' professional performance, all with a sharp focus on better serving district students and families. These contracts contain 40 years of collective professional wisdom, memorialized by generations of educators and administrators intent on creating healthy boundaries and clear expectations on all matters of professional interest. Bargaining conversations are often difficult, as each party arrives with very different perspectives and often needs. But in the 20 years I've been involved, there has never been a strike by CUSD employees. We've always managed to reach durable agreements that brought stability to the district, our students, employees, and their families. Currently, we are at impasse, and as close to a strike as we've ever been. We're now in the 18th month of a process that should have been resolved last school year. After impasse was certified by the state, the district refused to meet over the summer, claiming that they had no meeting space. Since CUSD has refused to meet, CUSD has refused to meet with the union face-to-face for any of the impasse meetings. During this 18-month period, the district has unilaterally canceled 11 of 14 scheduled bargaining sessions, refused to schedule negotiating meetings during routine business hours, refused to update the contracts with the 6 years of previous agreements reached during Superintendent Rigby's tenure, and rejected every one of the employees' proposed improvements. Some of those have been resolved, but it's taken a tremendous amount of time to do that. The district also provided the superintendent and the entire CUSD administrative team not one, but two salary increases during that same period, totaling 10 to 12%, while offering district employees 2 to 2.5%. Is it any wonder we are at impasse and why the possibility of a general employee strike is now being considered? The quality of maintenance of the labor relationship is the most influential and expensive component district leadership must resolve. It impacts every aspect of CUSD's operations, yet we hear nothing from these district officials, but perhaps to state that bargaining has not been resolved. Why do you think district officials refuse to discuss these matters in public? Perhaps you could share. I'll repeat. Why do you refuse to discuss these matters in public? Thank you.
Any more comments for items not on this agenda?
Hello, Rogelio Delgado, Carpinteria, our resident. This is about the Brown Act. Actually, you should bring it with you all the time. I read it 2016, 2017, again 2 years ago, and as recently as an hour ago. We have 3 minutes to make our point. That doesn't mean that I'm supposed to make my point within the first minute or half a minute. No, I have 3 minutes. So sometimes a public comment needs a background. And that's allowed. It's within the 3 minutes. So this is what the Brown Act says. You, board members, should just listen. It doesn't matter whether it's about a good education point of view or whether it's hard criticism of some of your actions. You're just supposed to listen, not react. And by that, I mean behave. Do not interrupt, taking time from those 3 minutes. Do not use your cell phone. Do not laugh. Do not turn your back on speakers because, first of all, you're representing your high school. You're representing your college. You're representing the community. And you're the Board of Education. So this is what the Brown Act says. You are just supposed to listen, not overreact. That's, and actually, you can double check it, you can Google it, or you can bring it with you all the time. That's what the city does. They have an attorney. If they have a question, they ask legal counsel, can we do this? And then the attorney says, yes, you can, or you cannot. So that is why you're saying that you were gonna discuss the Brown Act when you have that training next year. I mean, shouldn't wait for that training. You should schedule it on the agenda. It's a discussion of what you can do and what we can do. Thank you.
All right, move on to item 4, approval of the minutes from our last meeting. Can I get a motion?
I'll move to approve. I'll second.
All right, any discussion? Public comments on approval of the minutes of our meeting from October 22nd.
Alrighty, let the minutes show that at the last board meeting, like every board meeting in approximately the last 4 years, the school board approved every agenda item required without a single dissenting vote, dissenting opinion, or objection placed on the record. Let the minutes show that district officials once again unanimously approved every agenda item requiring approval. That is 100% consensus support and agreement on all issues, without pursuing any further review, research, or significant discussion. Let the minutes show that during closed session, the board is only allowed to privately discuss matters that have been agendized for that closed session. And let the minutes show that the Brown Act prohibits the board from discussing these agenda items outside of these very public meetings, these board meetings. So a question: if open session items can't be discussed during closed session, and they aren't being thoroughly discussed here during open session, where are they being discussed? Or are critical oversight discussions even occurring at all? The community should stop and consider what this could mean. It could mean that the items placed before district officials for approval require no further debate, no further review, research, or significant consideration. But then why would we have a school board? Or They could mean that no dissenting voice or discussion recorded in the approximately 4 years. It could mean that the board is failing to exercise its oversight responsibilities according to the legalities defined in the Brown Act. Breaking the Brown Act, possibly. Or the thorough absence of any significant discussion, inquiry, or review in public could mean that some very poorly informed decisions are being made that are directly impacting the quality of education for district students and families. What kind of healthy relationship, be it an organization, a business, a family, or even just friends, thinks alike 100% of the time? Such a concept sounds almost cultish. Let the minutes show that upon review, we could not find a single instance where a board member uttered anything equivalent to the thought, "Fine, I'll do it your way, but I don't agree, and here's why." Does this decision-making practice confirm the strength of CUSD's decisions, or does it expose its fragility? How does the practice of 100% consensus decision-making demonstrate the necessary diversity of thought or socioeconomic experience needed to better serve the district's families, versus just a small sliver of the families like those of our board members? Previously, district employees have expressed concerns about how the district does not reflect the interests.
Thank you.
Thank you. We put another concern on the record tonight.
All right. Any further discussion about the approval of the minutes from our last meeting? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, move on to the approval of the agenda and consent agenda. Can I get a motion?
I move to approve the agenda and the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Questions? Okay, public comment for items, or for the consent agenda. Approval of the consent agenda and agenda.
Thank you for the example of no discussion and no comments. The consent agenda, as with the rest of the board agenda, is governed by the Brown
Stop this time
Act.
for a minute. So you don't get to come up here and impugn our integrity.
Excuse me, I get to speak for
that-
3
that
minutes,
was-
sir.
I know you
And you're
do.
not supposed to be cutting me off,
I'm
as a
not
matter of
cutting
fact.
you off.
I know you're angry about what you're hearing, and I'd like
I'm
you to
not gonna
follow
allow
the Brown
I'm
Act.
not
Thank
going to
you.
allow you to sit here and impugn
Okay, no one
the
impugn-
integrity
yeah,
of this board. I asked for questions.
Right.
Discussion is after. You
Right.
should know that.
And there were no questions and
meeting.
no discussions. That was a fact. Stating a fact is not impugning, unless, of course, there's something to impugn in that action.
Okay, start
If
us-
you feel insensitive,
start us-
Mr. Schaefer, you'll have to look at your own performance. May I please have all that time back?
It was stopped. It has
Okay.
been run, and now it's running again.
Okay, so could you please begin where I can begin? I will run out of time, I'm certain.
No, I stopped the clock when he asked me to stop the clock. And then when he said continue, I started again. Continue.
Thank you. So as with the rest of the board agenda, the consent agenda is governed by the Brown Act. The Brown Act is also designed to prevent the advancement of public business without transparency. It is designed to prevent district officials from reaching behind closed doors 100% consensus decisions which obscure any debate, dissent, and/or concerns from the watchful eyes of engaged community members or from the public record. Like the vast majority of previous meetings, CUSD once again places items on the consent agenda that are neither routine nor have they been brought before the public at previous meetings, which is required. Setting aside the district's violations, employees would have otherwise supported item 1, the field trip request, which certainly provides a value-added experience to several earnest and engaged CHS students and families. And we would have supported item 2, the MOU between CUSD and the United Way of Santa Barbara County, which also is a value-added program recognized for the fabulous work and opportunities it provides the most vulnerable students in our community. However, employee leaders do not support consent agenda item number 2, the approval of the consultant agreement for CPR training for CUSD employees. At first glance, item 2's investment in CPR and first aid training appears valuable. In fact, union leadership, who once co-chaired the district safety committee with Principal Glover some years ago, had been a driving force behind seeing that every district employee was trained in CPR and first aid at the start of each year. This practice was dismantled when Ms. Rigby arrived to the district. Since then, elected employee leadership have never stopped advocating for the reimplementation of this valuable safety investment, CPR and first aid. Because system-wide CPR and first aid training meant that district employees were significantly better prepared for the variety of medical events that occur each and every day on our district campuses. Consent agenda item 2, though, is all optics and a pitifully shallow step towards the safety posture and preparedness employees once knew and still request. The district has rejected employees' proposals to contractualize the expectation that all district employees be trained in CPR and first aid. And now district officials posture in public offering this estimated $3,000 investment in CPR and first aid, which will have an infinitesimal impact on the preparedness and safety culture of the district. And why? What the district didn't share in the agenda is that it recently notified employees, you have recruited three individuals,
Time's
three individuals
Time's up.
to take this
Time's up.
CPR training.
Please discontinue.
Because it isn't being provided,
Hodgson,
Say,
I'm gonna
I'm
ask you
reclaiming
to
my
leave.
own time, because you're not paying them for it,
So-
and you're not doing it during business hours. Thank you.
Yeah. Again, I would inform speakers that if they don't honor our rules, they're going to be removed from the room. Yeah.
You will also need to
That's your that's your first warning and your last warning. Okay, sorry about that. We'll move on to, actually, we need to vote. Can you do a roll call, Sally?
Eric.
Aye.
Aaron.
Aye.
I'm I.
I'm aye.
Andy.
Okay, we'll move on to, sorry about that, Angel. Student rep report.
Okay, as you know, I'm Angel Pineda. I'm the student representative from Carpinteria High School, representing all of Carpinteria High School. Carpinteria High School has experienced a productive and successful last 2 weeks since my last time here. PSAT, on October 29th, 95 10th and 11th graders took the PSAT, a valuable tool which helps them with college readiness and qualifying for the National Merit Scholarship Program. It's a very good program. It's a very good thing for them. I did it my sophomore year, and it was really good, and it got me to realize what else I need to learn. The Cal State Channel Islands Guarantee Program, which is really good. The class of 2025 is receiving exciting admissions notifications for those that meet the Cal system admission criteria are guaranteed a spot at Cal State Channel Islands. This partnership is a first time for Carpinteria High School and is really good. For the FFA fundraiser, the annual drive-through tri-tip barbecue was hosted by Carpinteria FFA and Carpinteria FFA boosters, and it was a major success. Okay, about 250 meals were sold to support the Carpinteria FFA students, thanks to the numerous efforts from volunteers, parents, students, and our only advisor, Ms. Garcia. Our CHS Robotics Club participated in the first Tech Challenge competition on November 2nd. The Warrior Robot 22556 competed and placed 7th out of 13 teams, which is still really, really good. Cal Poly San Luis Obispo tour. 55 students toured Cal Poly campus in San Luis Obispo, gaining insights into the campus and the application process. This field trip was sponsored by Cal Soap, a program under Cal State Channel Islands. Girls tennis success. The girls tennis team concluded with an incredibly strong season, advancing to the quarterfinals and securing first place in the Citrus Coast League with a 19-2 record. For our upcoming events, cross country, CIF prelims. On Saturday, cross country will compete in the CIF Southern Section prelims at Mount San Antonio College in Riverside. For girls water polo season opener, girls water polo will kick off the winter season with a non-league match against Newberry Park at the Carpinteria Community Pool on Thursday at 3:45 p.m. For the CHS Robotics team, they will compete again this Saturday, November 16, in Ojai at the first Tech Challenge competition. The team has been preparing for this event since early September, so good luck out there. For the Morp Dance, ASB is going to be hosting the annual Morp Dance on November 16th from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. in the gym this year. Tickets are still available for the students, and they know where to buy them, and they've been notified where, when, and how. For the UCLA College Tour next week, Cal Soap will be leading 55 students on a college tour of UCLA to learn about the UC system admissions and also a really good campus. We congratulate our students and staff in their recent achievements and look forward to more exciting events to come. That's all I got.
All right. Thanks, Angel.
Thank you, Angel.
Good job on that salsa, too.
It was good.
All right. Any questions, comments for Angel? All right. Public comment on our student representative report. All right. Move on to item 2, the superintendent's report.
Thank you. Thank you, Angel, again for your exciting report. It just makes us all wish we were in high school again. Great job. Okay, I'll begin with appreciation. I'd like to recognize Athletic Director Pat Cooney, the CHS boosters, coaches, and the CHS student athletes for a victorious fall season of high school athletics. Girls golf and tennis, boys water polo, and cross-country teams all participated in postseason playoffs. Again, we add our congratulations to the CHS robotics team. As Angel indicated, they placed 7th out of 13 teams with their robot, and this was during the first tech challenge held in Ojai last weekend. National School Psychology Week. During the week of November 11th to the 15th, the National Association of School Psychologists and schools across the United States will mark National School Psychology Week. This week celebrates the contributions of school psychologists and the important role they play in schools and communities. It is an annual opportunity to recognize school psychologists' work to help students thrive in school, at home, and in life. We'd like to celebrate and thank CUSD school psychologist Rob Santiago at the high school, Ashley Somix, who's both at the middle school and preschool, Katie Lewis at Canalino and the family school, and Jenny Aldridge at Aliso and Summerlin. Our next item is parent involvement. Parent participation in their child's education is critical to academic achievement, and we're looking forward to high parent participation in the elementary parent conferences next week. Teachers carefully prepare student progress reports to help parents understand student grade level progress, as well as to provide home support activities to reinforce reading, writing, and math skills. All students need to read a minimum of 30 minutes per night and practice math facts to increase fluency and automaticity. We expect that elementary students will be reading and mastering math skills at grade level by the end of 5th grade to ensure academic success in middle and high school. And we depend on parents to make reading and practicing math facts priorities in their homes, and we're grateful for their partnership. My next item is our California Healthy Kids Survey. This survey is the annual anonymous online assessment for students, parents, and staff in grades 5, 7, 9, and 11. It's focused on the 5 most important areas for guiding school and student improvement: student connectedness, school climate, school safety, physical and mental well-being and social-emotional learning, and finally, student supports. The 2024 CUSD Healthy Kids Survey is available now until December 6, and we encourage all students, staff, and parents in grades 5, 7, 9, and 11 to complete the online survey. And the survey links were distributed by the school principals. My next item, again, is Angel also shared this exciting news about CUSD and the Cal State Channel Islands partnership. We've announced a groundbreaking partnership to provide a clear and supported pathway to higher education for our students. The newly signed MOU establishes a guaranteed admission program for qualified district graduates, offering a host of benefits and support services. By establishing this partnership, CUSD and Channel Islands are working together to increase college access and success for local students. The key benefits are guaranteed admission, dedicated support, on-the-spot admissions, and academic and practical support. My next item is our single plan for student achievement, which we fondly call the SIPSA. California Ed Code 64001 and the Every Student Succeeds Act require schools that receive federal funds through the CON-APP to consolidate all school planning requirements into the SIPSA. This single plan is aligned with the board-adopted LCAP and it represents a school cycle of continuous improvement of student achievement. The annual process of developing, reviewing, and updating the SIPSA includes a comprehensive review of student data and the development of school actions necessary to achieve grade level goals. CUSD principals are presenting their SIPSAs to the board tonight for board approval. And finally, our great news about the progress of Measure U. Installation of the casework continues to progress, as well as the library's fixed seating in our new Catalina Learning Center. Landscaping and irrigation are also underway and are nearing completion. Last week, the fire alarm commissioning, testing, and inspections were completed and signed off. Library flooring, asphalt slurry sealing, skate stops, and guardrails, all those have been installed, and we're ready to open the first week of December. So we're excited about the
That's fantastic.
opening. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Any questions for the superintendent? Okay, comments on the superintendent's report?
No questions for the superintendent? Thank you, Superintendent Rigby. In your report this evening, you mentioned the California Healthy Kids Survey, and you confirmed that the survey focuses on 5 areas, including student and employee safety, connectedness, school climate, and supports. You also encourage students, staff, and parents to complete the online survey before the deadline of December 6th. Employee leadership wants to do the same. We strongly encourage students, parents, and employees to complete this survey, which provides a unique opportunity to confidentially provide transparent feedback on their experiences. Although the district will determine what survey feedback data it wishes to highlight or downplay, all the data collected in the survey process will remain available. In other words, the California Healthy Kids Survey cannot be directly manipulated by district leadership. Superintendent Rigby also notified the public that the single plan for student achievements, the SIPSAs, will be presented to the board tonight for board approval. As Ms. Rigby shared, the SBSA represents a school cycle of continuous improvement, student achievement, and the SIPSA includes a comprehensive review of data and the development of actions necessary to achieve school goals. The SIPSA includes a variety of topics such as the California School Dashboard indicators, school and student performance data, enrollment data, CASP results, LPAC results, goals, strategies, proposed expenditures, future budgeted items, funding sources. Each SIPSA provides literally well over 1,000+ data points that inform district officials on the success or digress of our schools and students. This evening, the following schools will present their SIPSAs: CHS, a 14-page report with a 43-page accompanying data. Aliso, a 33-page report with 62 pages of accompanying data. Catalina, 49-page report with 55 pages of accompanying data. And the middle school, a 28-page report with 54 pages of accompanying data. Ms. Rigby, could you please clarify whose idea it was to provide the board with 4 school site SIPSAs worth of data in a single board meeting cycle, and then ask the school board to approve or delay, which we've never seen, the approval at the same board meeting? And esteemed board members, could you please show us by raising your hand if you believe this approach to presenting and seeking approval for 4 SIPSAs in a single board cycle provided you sufficient time to thoroughly review this data, ask questions, seek clarification, discuss, and gain a thorough understanding of the broad variety of data that all comes together in this evening's presentations? So without raising your hands, that must be a no. Would you like me to repeat the question? Could you please show us by raising your hands?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
All righty. We'll move on to item 3, the 2024-2025 annual superintendent's annual goals, second reading. Okay. Is there anything new that's been added since the last?
Nothing new has been added, so this is approval.
Okay. Any questions for the superintendent? Public comment on the superintendent's annual goals, second reading.
No questions again. At the last meeting at hour 1:46:09, union leadership began to publicly examine Ms. Rigby's PowerPoint presentation associated with the superintendent's goals. Goals one would expect she is being measured by, but that does not appear to be the case or very clear in any way. When provided the opportunity to ask questions, inquire further, and discuss the data with Ms. Rigby directly, there was a grand total of 1 minute and 23 seconds of board discussion on the topic. None of that addressed the questions presented during public comment either. Of course, the 3-minute public speaking opportunity was and is nowhere near enough time to complete union leadership's observations on what was contained therein, so we're going to pick up where we left off. That would be at page 5. On page 5, perhaps it's worth noting that the two schools where educators have the most autonomy to design their instruction and influence the academic and behavioral culture of their campuses have the highest achievement data. This strongly supports the concept that employee influence on the daily operations of the district and its mission bring great value to the teaching and learning environment. Educators don't need to be told what to do by autocratic leadership. They need support in the form of resources such as time, access to materials, basic supplies, and shared decision-making, versus micromanagement, top-down directives from those furthest from the classroom and the students, or the refusal to even meet with their elected employee representatives who share these employees' experiences, concerns, and questions and ideas to very dismissive and often deaf district administrators and officials. On page 6, here the same sentiment is clearly echoed again in the data that you yourself, Superintendent Rigby, provided the board and community. Where there is the most autonomy, there is also the most success for district personnel and students. On page 8, it looks like we're about on par with Santa Barbara County. It would be interesting to know what this means to our district leaders. How does this change your vision for the district? Or does it change your vision for the district? On page 8, given the declining English learner population, shouldn't there be savings on this data point? How is this data point impacting the budget? That's page 8. On page 9, clearly CUSD's SPED and students with disabilities population has slowly climbed over the last 5 years. Approximately 5 years, 1% each year to a once again, not enough time in 3 minutes, thank you.
All righty. Can I get a motion for either approving the superintendent's annual goals?
I move to approve the superintendent's annual goals.
I'll second.
Okay, again, this is basically mirroring our LCAP that we had considerable discussion about earlier this year. So any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we'll move on to item 4, the presentations for the 24-25 single plan for student achievement. And I think we're going to start Mr. Weiberg and Aliso. Welcome.
Thank you. All right, thank you for letting me be here today to present Aliso School's plan for student achievement for this year. So we're going to start out by looking at some data. So we're going to be looking at the data from last year. We're looking at the test scores, the data, and then we're comparing it from the year before that so that we can look at that data, kind of come up with our goals for this year, and then I'll be sharing our strategies and activities that we're doing this year to help us meet our goals. So just looking at enrollment by our student group, for last year, our Hispanic population decreased and our white population increased. I think that part of that, those are the students that are enrolled in our DLI classrooms. And then our overall enrollment, we were at 329, and now we were at 316, and then we're again this year at 316, so about the same. When we look at our English learners and our reclassification rates. Our English learners are going down. So we had 136 and then went down to 112. Last year, we reclassified 12% of our students, which came out to 14 students that we reclassified. The year before, we actually reclassified 30 students, and the year before that, 24. So we reclassified a lot of students in the past couple of years. So looking at that 14 students, the population that's left are those students that are still kind of struggling. So we're working really hard with our ELD groups to get those students where they need to be so that we can reclassify them. But when we look at our LPAC data, the students need to score a 4 in order to be reclassified, and 44% of our students scored at a level 3, and 50% of our students progressed at least one level on the LPAC. So we're going the right way, and we're getting them where they need to be, and working hard with our ELD groups. And so we are continuing to increase our DLI program. So this year we added third grade. So we have one kindergarten class of 20 students, a first grade class of 23, and a second and third grade class both with 18 students. And so when we were also looking at the reclassification rates, I was talking to Jamie and Luis and how DLI plays a part in that. And a lot of the students that are in DLI may not be classified until their 4th, 5th, maybe 6th grade because they're not getting instruction in English until the later grades. So that has also affected our reclassification rate. Looking at our CASP data, for the overall achievement for the students, so this is for language arts. We have the students who met or exceeded standards increased from 29 to 38%. And then overall, the students that nearly met and did not meet decreased. So we're kind of going in the right direction in both areas. We want those students who are nearly or not meeting standards to be going down and increasing. So, and kind of a shout out to our third grade. Our third grade did amazing last year on our state scores. So when we look at our math, let's see. Sorry, I went the other way, huh? All right, so for our math, the percentage of students who meet or exceeded increased from 29 to 38. And then the percentage that nearly met decreased from 32 to 28. And those that did not meet decreased from 39 to 34. So again, with both language arts and math, we're going in the right direction. Chronic absenteeism has been a big problem, especially since COVID. And from the 22-23 year to 24, it decreased from 25 to 19%. So that's great. Our homeless population has increased. And when we were looking at the data, we noticed that a lot of our homeless population, those are the students that are chronically absent because they're struggling. So we're working really hard with our SST teams and our school counselors and our START counselors to make sure we're supporting those families to make sure the kids are getting to school.
Can you explain for the audience what is considered homeless?
So we have some areas where that if it's multiple families in a home, they can claim homelessness, but also if they do not have a home. So we have several families living in hotels. We have families living at the beach in their RVs or cars. But we have several families that are living in hotels this year. So we've had a lot of families moving from both Goleta and Santa Barbara down to Carpinteria. So does that answer your question?
No, not for me, but it was for everybody.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. So looking at our goals, so the LCAP goal, number 1, was to increase student learning with high-quality standards-based instruction that is tailored to meet the individual needs of every student, ensuring that all students are challenged and supported to master grade-level standards. So our SIPSA goal is that 60% of kindergarten through 5th grade students will score at grade level on the STAR reading and STAR math assessments. So those are tests that we give every month. The students take that, and then we look at those scores to drive our instruction. And then for 3rd through 5th grade students on the CASP, that they will meet or exceed the statewide average for proficiency. So some of the strategies and activities we're doing to meet this goal is that we have our ELD, SLD time. So we are doing that 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week. So students are put into groups that they're working on their English skills. The students in DLI who are English only are working on their Spanish skills at that time. We have our weekly collaboration meetings. So on Wednesdays, teachers are collaborating site-wise and then district-wide once a month to look at data and see what we can do to support students. This year, we are focusing on math. We also have our reading intervention teacher, and we look at our DIBEL score and our district grade level assessments to put students in reading intervention to get them back up to where they need to be. And then we have different programs like Dreambox and Alexia that students are using to kind of fill in those gaps and help support them. This year, as an admin team, we're implementing instructional rounds to help us kind of increase student achievement and reading and math. So we're just beginning that process and working on that. We have Christy Guerrero, who worked at the county. She's worked with this UCSB math project, and she is a grade level chair for 2nd grade, and she's kind of leading our professional development for math this year. So every other month, 1 month we're focusing on data, and then the next month we're focusing on math tasks, and Christy is doing that with the grade level chairs, and then they present those to the teachers of the grade level teams, and then those are taken to the students and working on the classrooms. The principals are reviewing test data and providing teacher feedback. And then just kind of on a side note, Luis took over for Catalino this year, and it's been kind of a seamless transition. He was already grade level chair. He had already been at Catalino. And just like last year with Jamie, Luis and I talk every day and are trying to kind of keep that collaboration going. And now we're lucky enough to have Jamie at the middle school to kind of have that seamless transition between the elementary schools. We also have done collaboration with United Way. So last year, teachers were trained in the Orton Gillingham reading method. And then this year, those teachers will be doing tutoring with students in grades 1st and 2nd grade. And then we have our after-school program that provides support and enrichment, and it's offered for all students are able to participate. And this year, we have 102 students in the program right now. So just to show some pictures of some things that we're working on. So this is our GATE group, and they're working on some math tasks. The picture on the left was our Math Super Bowl group last year, and then we have on the right, we did the Battle of the Books. So that was one of our Battle of the Books teams. For goal 2. The LCAP goal is that all students actively engage in learning and participate in a positive school culture in partnership with parents. So our SIPSA goal for Aliso is that we will increase parent participation through our PFA, our parent group, and our ELAC and other school-wide events. And then we're really working on enhancing student leadership by working with our student council. And then, like I presented at the board meeting before, we have our 5th grade ambassador program this year. So with our student council, the student council is doing a wide range of things. So we do our weekly newscast. They're planning and leading school-wide activities. They help during school assemblies. They plan out our spirit weeks, and then they help with fundraising events. This year, we've added the 5th grade ambassadors, and they are providing a lot of support for the younger students. So they go into the classrooms and provide support with their classwork, reading with them, helping them with their math facts. They're assisting students in the library, helping them pick out books at their level, and reading with them. And then on the playground's always been a difficult spot because that's where the unstructured time is and kids get in trouble. So we're trying to get lots of games going and involving those fifth graders to really like lead and organize the games and get them involved that way. And then they help on the cafeteria. We have a salad bar and they help the students make healthy choices. And it's kind of fun to watch them and see them in there. We also participate in Big and Little Buddies, so we have our grade levels broken up, and they do stuff usually twice a month, and just kind of increase the school culture. We celebrate a lot of different things, so we did our Dia de los Muertos and Hispanic Heritage Month. Last year, we changed our open house and made it a cultural night open house, which was greatly attended and loved, so we're going to do that again this year. And then we had our trunk or treat this year, which was a huge success. And then I send out weekly updates with information about our upcoming events, our PFA meetings, ELAC, and how parents can participate. And that goes out on Parent Square in both English and Spanish. And then Luisa and I have been working together to kind of bridge that gap between Aliso and Catalina so that the students are getting together before they get to middle school so they kind of have that bond. So we started the beginning of this year and Catalina students came over to Aliso. We did sports games and did a lunch together, and then we'll be doing it again at Catalina. So we collaborate with our ELAC and PFA parents. We do different events such as Trunk or Treat, the book fair, the holiday store, and then a lot with school literacy and family literacy nights. We've been doing that with them. And then we're also working with the public library to do family literacy nights as well. We've been doing our monthly family picnics, and after talking to the parent groups, we decided that we needed to add some dinner nights because a lot of our parents weren't able to make it during the day. So this year we'll be starting our family dinner nights, and our first one's going to be in December. So we're excited about that so that more parents can participate. And then doing the host the coffee and tea with the principal throughout the year, and then parents attend conferences, which we are getting ready for next week. And just a few more pictures to show. We've got the Lion Pride newscast. And so for me, we do this on Mondays, and it's kind of my highlight of my week, and I think the students too. So last week I had to cancel it on Monday, and I had so many students coming and being like, we missed the newscast. So I was going to cancel it for the week, but I decided we had to do it on Tuesday because they didn't want to miss it. So it made me feel good that they look forward to that and are excited about that. And then here's our fifth grade ambassadors, so helping at the salad bar, out on the playground, in the classroom, and in the cafeteria. And then last year we started our cultural night for open house. So each of the classrooms picked a country, and the students did research, presented their research at the night, and we had food, activities, and then the students got a passport, and they were able to check off each country they went to, and then they got prizes at the end. So it was pretty exciting and a lot of fun. And then this year we did a DLI festival, and the students came and all the classrooms did a presentation, and then we had dinner, and then those students presented at our next our awards assembly. So here's kind of the night. It was packed. We had tons of food and lots of fun. And then this year we added kind of our trunk or treat, and we did our altars for the Day of the Dead, and we have our annual pumpkin decorating contest. So those were available in the cafeteria for families to see after the trunk or treat event. And then just a few other things. We've got our book fair. Aliso School last year started the Carpinteria Christmas Parade, and we will be continuing that. Our student council members will be part of that. We changed our jogathon to a field day last year so that more families and more kids could be involved, and it was more of a school-wide activity instead of an individual activity. And then at our trunk or treat, I think we had 12 students from the high school volunteer this year, so it was great. And then in the red there, that's a Bendigo, and I had him in second grade, so it's fun to see the kids coming back and giving back to their school. The third goal for LCAP, all students will graduate from high school, college, and career ready. And our SIPSA goal for Aliso is that we will cultivate a college-going culture on campus and monitor our students' progress on their assessments to make sure they're at grade level. So some of the strategies and activities we are doing. So the students visit different colleges. We have a lot of virtual tours online that the teachers are doing with the students. And then they also go to UCSB and get to tour the college and do the science lab. Our parents for Aliso this year are going to facilitate a college and career day. So we're doing that towards the end of the year. And then we're looking at multiple measures, our CAS, our STAR data, our Bridges assessment to make sure that students are at grade level and meeting their goals. So this was the field trip last year to UCSB. And it's always amazing. This and SEME are kind of those two things that the kids come back and they're like, the experience that they have there is just, something that is amazing and gets them excited about learning and school. For goal 4, the LCAP goal is that facilities are safe, updated, and well-maintained for students and staff. And our SIPSA goal is that Aliso will ensure a safe, well-maintained, and updated environment that supports effective teaching and learning for all students and staff. So we have a custodial staff that works really hard. We've got our grounds and our maintenance facility that are on call all the time, always ready to help and kind of keep our facilities up to date. Our student council and 5th grade ambassadors this year are working really hard to kind of do campus cleanup and making sure that the campus is nice and clean. We've been cleaning the walls, doing the floor, and kind of making sure that it looks nice. We have family cleanup days. And then we're working with Measure U, and hopefully soon we'll be starting the TKK renovation, and that's pretty exciting. Then I do monthly walkthroughs with Jim Pettit, who's the director of maintenance and operations, and he's always ready to go when I need him. So it's great kind of having that monthly meeting with him so that we can look at everything and see what we need to do to improve the safety and the maintenance of the school. We have a safety team. We meet monthly. It's part of our leadership team. And we talk about updating plans, coordinating drills, the new SRP, and the procedures for that. And then we also have at every staff meeting, we go over the SRP and we talk about that. So tomorrow we're having a lockdown drill. So today we spent a lot of time talking about how that was going to go and how it's going to look. And then letting the parents know what's happening and how the drills are going. And here's one of our campus cleanup days in the TK yard. And this is the way I always sign off with the students at assemblies and at our newscast, Go Lions. Thank you.
Thanks, Brett.
Yep.
Thank you, Brett.
Any questions?
Yep.
That was great.
Any questions? I've got some here, but I think I'm going to wait until we get done with at least get done with Catalino.
Perfect,
Maybe
and then
I
we can
talk
come
to
up.
you both together.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Right.
Evening, everyone. Luis Quintero, Catalina Elementary. Thank you for having me today. As Brett mentioned, that we have been collaborating a lot daily. So you'll notice a lot of similarities between both presentations because a goal of ours in the district is that every student should have the equal opportunity to have the same high-level education. So it shouldn't matter whether you're at Canalino or Aliso, room 30, room 32, everyone has the right to good education. So here with Canalino, we have a K through 5th grade, also with a K through 5th DLI program, and we have about 473 students. Here, if you look, we have this picture was taken I want to say 2 years ago, with our Carpinteria Family School students and our Catalino students making the tree and the whale. We also have Carpinteria Family School, which is a multi-age program. Right now, we have a 2 and 3 multi-age class and a 4 and 5 multi-age class with 45 students. At the beginning of the year, I spoke with my team, all the teachers involved at Carpinteria Family School and at Catalino, that we only had 4 incoming kindergarten students and only 4 first grade students for a 1/2 class, and I had about 38 incoming TKers. So we worked as a team, and my kinder and first grade teacher agreed that they could take in the 4 students each, and we would reroute them back into the 2-3 combo with Miss Silk. Really, it's just looking at the students and everyone involved and working as a team. So that's why we have 2 multi-age classes this year. But our students in the 4 students in kinder and 4 students in first grade still participate in the Carpinteria Family School activities, such as Family Friday, the Jogathon. It's all hands on deck, so both schools and families are working together. So just looking at some data here's our enrollment and chronic absenteeism. So up top we have, which is last year's data, which was about 22.8%, which is very similar to the year before. And then with Catalino, we have in this year, we have 473 students, but with the data from the previous year, it was 483, in the year before, 498. So we've seen a steady decline in Catalino, and similar in Carpinteria Family School this year with 45 students. Last year, 56, and the previous year, 65. Again, as you all know, it's really difficult to live here in town, and families are having to make difficult decisions to move elsewhere. Here are some of our demographics at Catalino. So we have 324 students, 67%. They're Hispanic, white, 144, 30%, and 12 students under other, which is the 3%. And this is from the data given from the year before. And here is our English Language Arts CASP data. And this is looking at the overall achievement of all of our students from 3rd to 5th grade that test. So we had an increase with the met and exceeded standard from 39% to 41%. For students who nearly met standard, we had a slight decrease from 25 to 20%, and a percentage of students that did not meet standard increased from 36 to 39. But I want to highlight here that we are having more students meet and exceed standard, so that is definitely a plus. And next is the math CASP data, which overall last year we had a 41% meet and exceed, and then this past year it rose to 49%. I know we've been having a big push with mathematics, so we're very excited to see the hard work paying off. We had, for nearly met standard, we had a decrease from 32% to 26%. And then for students who did not meet standard, decreased from 27 to 25. So we're seeing a trend in the right direction with their students and meeting the standards. And here are our reclassification rates. Last year, I changed it. I know it says English language learners, but one thing we started last year under Jamie Pursoon is changing the label to emerging bilinguals, because that is who our students are. They're not just language learners, but they're emerging bilinguals. And that's something we really want to highlight. So we had 136 students, 35% were emerging bilinguals, 9 fluent English proficient, and 11% reclassification rate. This year we had 117 emerging bilinguals, 24% are emerging, 15 are English proficient, and a 14 reclassification of fluent English proficient. So I want to point out, yes, the numbers are decreasing, but our reclassification rates are increasing, which is a good thing. This past year, we had 12 students reclassify, scoring a 4 on the LPAC, which is extremely difficult. I've seen it. It's something that it's really, really hard, and it's such a great feat that we do celebrate with the students and the families, and we let the families know why it's such an important thing for them and all the doors that it does open up. So, with our LCAP Goal 1, increasing student learning with high-quality, standards-based instruction. Again, both schools, we have aligned our goals the same because we believe it doesn't matter which school the students go to. 60% of students from kinder to 5th grade will be at or above STAR reading and STAR math. We also have professional learning communities, math professional development, differentiated instruction, reading support, and small groups, ELD and SLD rotations. So I have a lot of pictures, so I will basically tell the story through the pictures on how we are meeting these goals. So first off, here we have TK, and kinder with science and early literacy. As you can see, if you're looking at your page to the far left, we have students starting to become, these are 4-year-olds, familiarize themselves with letters and shapes to really start the early literacy. And then on the kinder side, here we have a student-centered activity. In his hand, you can see Earth. However, the students were very curious about it. So our amazing K teacher, Miss Edmondson, created a project where they create Earth using the internal layers, so the core, the mantle, the crust. That's something I remember learning in middle school, and now we have 5-year-olds learning it and building it. So it's just amazing. And again, in kinder, we have a student tracing and writing and also working on their fine motor skills. So that's at our very earliest grades. And then we have math instruction. And here I used 1st grade as an example. Along with our Bridges curriculum, it comes with Bridges games, math games, that reinforce the standards they are learning. So here we have a game where students are taking dominoes. If you remember dominoes, they have dots or beads on each end. And with the task is that they're working together to add the little dots on each end of the dominoes or subtract depending on the difficulty level. Here the teachers can also have the students add or subtract dominoes from each other. As you can see, they are very engaged 1st graders with mathematics. And here we have more math instruction, but with non-curricular tasks. So on the far left, here we have Ms. McDonald running a math talks activity where it helps students work on their number sense. They're given a problem, they have to think of a way to solve it, and then they have to be able to use their language to tell the teacher how they're solving it, and the teacher must write it, must write their strategy down, and other students figure out different ways to solve it, and it helps reinforce what they're learning, and it helps other students learn from each other. So it's a very collaborative activity. On our other pictures, we have math tasks, who Ms. Guerrero is running with us and training us on how to do this in the classrooms. It's very engaging and rigorous, almost like math puzzles. Our Bridges curriculum also have these known as similar math tasks as like explorations, where I remember running one last year, and 5th graders had to work with the stock market, looking at percentages and numbers and trying to figure out what the percentage would be for the following day. So it's engaging, but really difficult, and it applies it to sometimes to the real life things that they're going to have as adults. Here we have some in 5th grade where now students are going up, solving problems and explaining it, how they're solving it to their entire class. And along with our more math instruction here, we have manipulatives and more math games for the higher levels. As you can see, students are working on finding area models or the area and volume for the activities. Now with FOSS, here I use the 5th grade example. Here the students are learning with Earth orbiting the sun, and it has to do with our solar system unit. So they're really getting a hands-on mini version of how it orbits. And then they're also working with the sun and the shadows and how to tell time by finding where north is. So that's what the students are doing. And they go out during different times of the day to see how the shadows change. Along with this, they have the chemistry mixtures and solutions unit and the life ecosystems unit, which is reinforced at CME, and then with the UCSB chemistry lab for the mixtures and solutions. And here we have math and science integration in class, where they're given tasks using both domains in engaging, fun activities. On top of that, with science, we also have Science in the Garden, where we have Miss Renee come from Explore Ecology and works with the students, our first and second graders. They get to go out, explore after a lesson, and she collects them, and they look at data such as the plants or what are they discovering in the garden. I've attended a couple this year for the first time, and they have the students working hard, having discussions. They're all very eager to learn and have science in the garden. We also have math professional learning at our staff meetings, where we have Ms. Christy Guerrero, as Brett mentioned earlier, runs the UCSB math projects program and worked for the county. So we get to use her at our school, and then along with our district grade level chairs to teach them those math tasks. And then we look at the data, and then again, math tests. So here is Christy putting us adults through some math tasks that, as you can see, it has everyone well engaged.
Very
in
challenging.
Yes.
What is that TV show? You're smarter than a fifth grader?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it feels like it. And here in the classroom, we have differentiated instruction. Again, we need them. The students are all at different levels, so it's our job to meet them where they are at and get them to the grade level. So on the far left picture, you have Mr. Ruvalcava, who is his first year in DLI first grade. He has a small group that he's working with, while the other groups are working in individual or grouped activities. Now, if you focus at the middle bottom picture, this is Miss Sonia Aguilar's class, who, as you know, is our bilingual national teacher of the year, and she's doing the same.
Superstar.
Yeah.
Yes, a
Superstar.
So with her, she has a small group, and again, having other students in team groups while they rotate, meeting their needs. And it's a group effort. As you can see, Mr. Ruvalcava is using similar strategies to Miss Aguilar year one. And again, the DLI teams get together once a month, share strategies, how they can work together and improve, along with our weekly PLC groups. And if you look at the far end, we even have our bilingual aides supporting a smaller group, and then another adult working with 2 students at a smaller group, again, differentiating instruction to get our students where they need to be. Along with that, we have our ELD and SLD rotations, 30 minutes every day. The students are grouped basically of where they're at, whether they're newcomers or if they need to pass the LPAC or where they scored on the CASP, just to help them grow and really develop the language. And then here we have our reclassification of our students. We had about, I believe it was, here I have 11, and it should be 12 students who reclassified this past year. This was at the ceremony. We had cake and food and water, and the students were really excited, and so were the families. And I was very happy to notice that some of these young students are siblings of some of my previous students that also attended, and it was just so nice to see that. Here we have Gate with Miss Marshall, who she worked with students within robotics and math tasks, and she took them to the university, to the science labs as well, so they could see how and what they learned in Gate class can be applied at the higher level, from making robotics and using the 3D printers. And with CCP, we have a class such as dance. Here we have dance class with Mr. Pablo. I've been to a couple. Very engaging, very fun. He's very animated, and the students love dance class. And we also have theater for the other grades as well, which are also very fun. Along with that, in the after-school program, we have about 168 students attending at Catalino. They are grouped in age levels, and they have rotations and different activities such as art, homework help. They even have on Wednesdays, active Wednesdays, where they are put through workouts per se, running, jogging, just trying to stay as healthy as possible. And they just have different activities to stay really engaged. And here we have, for example, art class in the after school program. I don't know if you can tell, but that is a gigantic mural the students are creating. Sorry. Yeah. We also got to bring in bicycle safety towards the beginning of the year in the after school program. So we had many students learn how to ride bikes. It is my hope that we were going to have more students ride bikes to school, which I'm hoping will help with absenteeism or tardy, because parents are rushing to get to work or there are other things going on, and at least the students can get themselves here once they're old enough and feel proficient enough to ride a bike to school. In the after-school program for our students in music, they also have opportunities to practice their bands and strings classes. And another thing we are working on is there is a program that hopefully starting in January will come to Catalino, and they will work with students who have experience in band or strings, and it's teaching them how to play mariachi music or that genre of music, which can open up doors to different cultures, or for other students, get them to know their own roots. So that's something we're very excited to add after school. Here we have integrated tasks with our young ones. We have some students, from voting. We have others working on their fine motor skills and creating sentences, learning different parts of the apple. So next is goal 2 with our LCAP of all students actively engage in learning and participate in positive school culture in partnership with parents. So our goal 2 is student engagement and leadership. So we have student council, play leaders, club kind and environmental ambassadors, big and little buddies, celebration of cultural diversity, parent engagement, and then as Brett mentioned earlier, Aliso and Catalino Field Day. So with student engagement and leadership, this year we had 28 students run for vice president, and the president leadership role, and these are 4th and 5th graders. It was a very animated and spirited week. At the bottom, you could see all of their flyers. One student got the same piece of paper to create their flyer to keep it equitable, no pins or cookies or selling or bribing. It was a close race. It was a really close race, and we had a lot of great speeches from our young leaders. With student engagement and leadership, we have our Club Kind and our environmental ambassadors, which is our younger students who help clean up the campus. And then we have student council, who fundraise for activities that they put on throughout the year. They raise money for nonprofits to help them out. They put on tournaments, and they listen to the students, right? And they kind of help us run the school and have fun activities during break time that the students want to see out there. And then here we have the morning and lunch recess, along with the tournaments. Here we have the table donated by Eli Schaefer. We have monthly sport tournaments. We have flag football, ultimate frisbee. Soccer's the hot sport right now. Basketball just became popular 3 weeks ago. Tetherball, Foursquare. So there is a lot of activities. There's also a new 2-touch kickball game that I'm discovering. So we're really excited to see the students moving and engaging in different sports and learning new skills. We have big and little buddies. So we partnered up our older grades with our younger grades to mentor them in class. So here we have fifth grade students with third graders, and they are working on math here. This was a multiplication activity focusing on the array model with Miss Garcia's class and Maestra Maria's class. I used to run these last year with my students with science and writing and reading, and both groups just really look forward to it. Here they try it. The goal is to have it weekly, if not every other week. Also with our Spanish language arts, focusing on Herencia Hispana, here we had students, here we have third graders working on a representation of a Hispanic person, and they had to find, not data, sorry, I'm translating in my own head here, facts about the person, where they're from, what's their home country, what did they do that was so amazing, and not just that, and create a poster, but they had to go up in front of their class and present it in Spanish as well. And then they hung it up on the board for, so during family math night, all the families got to see that. So here's some events that we had for celebrating our cultural diversity. This is our TK and K team for in October during the Hispanic month. It was a great turnout. We had a lot of families, a lot of students participate, and it was great. We had our teachers come in. Some teachers dressed up. Others were happy to wear their own cultural clothing. Here we have Frida Fest. So it was celebrating Frida Kahlo and her art with, I believe this is the second grade group. And we had others from first grade as well. For more family engagement, we had family math night. It was a big success. It's always hard at the end to have the families go home because they want to stay and continue to be challenged by these fun math games. I had the privilege of facilitating a group with one of our kinder DLI teachers, so I was the interpreter for the families, which was really great to work along with everybody. So here's some pictures from the Aliso and Canalino Field Day. We started this towards the end of last year, and at first the idea came up with, oh, we should have sports with each other, but it was more two schools against each other, so we changed that up when creating this idea, and we decided let's mix the schools so the students can have some camaraderie, and it's something to look forward to. We did it again this year, and it was a big success. The students are already asking for another Aliso collaboration field day. And it's going to help out at the middle school. The kids are going to go in knowing each other, and we're all trying to be on the same page here, working together as one town. So for goal 3, with our LCAP, that all students will graduate from high school, college, and career ready. Here, our goal is to cultivate a college-going culture. So we have the UCSB chemistry lab, the college and career day, and we look at assessments, for example, STAR assessments, but we also have Bridges assessments as well. So students will have the opportunity to go to UCSB, tour the campus, and have a chemistry lesson that builds on their science curriculum, as I mentioned earlier, for mixtures and solutions. College and Career Day, that's put on by our counselors. They organize College and Career Day to expose our students to the multiple careers and paths they can take when they're older. And then we also we monitor student progress goals using STARS, DIBELS, checkpoints, and assessments. I forgot to mention, along with DIBELS, it's IDEL, which is the Spanish version of just the reading fluency. So, types of assessments. We have multiple sources to collect data from on student achievement. So we have the STAR reading and math results, which are progress monitoring data, and these are done monthly. We're looking for growth. That's the purpose for this. Then we have our curriculum-based assessments, which are highly detailed, allowing teachers to identify exactly where the students' needs, supports are. This serves as leading data that is immediately actionable. Along with that, we have checkpoints. Every Wednesday, our grade level teams meet together, comparing data. What are they seeing in the class? What are they not? And we'll get to that in a minute. And then we have the CASP, which is a state assessment that we know the data is very late to us. So this is something that we worked on a lot last year, and we as teachers received coaching on it. So each column represents a standard that they learned. Each row is a student, so we've blocked out the students' names and the standards. But here I would look at this as a teacher in my own class and look, okay, 3A and 4A, I'm seeing a lot of yellow and red along with 7B. So I would look at those standards, and this allows me to create small groups to target that specific standard with those students to get them in the green. Now, I would also take this data to my PLCs, which is my professional learning communities with my grade level team and that we have weekly, and ask, is anyone seeing any similarities? Now, let's say we were looking at 5B1, and one of my colleagues happens to have all green. We would use this opportunity to have that colleague instruct us. Us teachers would role play as the students, and that teacher would teach us that lesson because maybe they're doing something differently than we are. And again, it's about using the resources we have and leaning on each other to meet the needs of our kids. As Brett mentioned earlier, we have UCSB Chemistry Lab. It's putting into life the science curriculum that we have, and we do have science experiments, but it's really difficult to replicate this in the classroom, right? Here we have, they're looking at a chemical reaction with that fire. What they're doing is they're putting gas in a bubble, and they're letting the bubble float up, and the students have a candle to try to light it to determine did we have a chemical reaction, yes or no. The students in the middle have a penny, which using chemical reactions, they turn to look like gold. And you can see that they dipped it in a solution and they're heating it up on the far picture to get the penny. It's something they're all very excited for every year. Along with that, they get to tour the campus. So they get to go to the lagoon, the U Center, Stork Plaza, look at Stork Tower. They even get, from a safe distance during the tour, they get to see all the students come out of their classes and immediately go to their next so they can see the hustle and bustle. But something that I love about this trip is that, as you know, UCSB is a multicultural university, and all of our students get to see a representation of themselves in higher education, which I think it's really powerful. Along with that, we have Career Day, which is something the students look forward to every year. I mean, we have the fire trucks, excavators, so many fun things here at Canalino that the students really look forward to. I was lucky enough a couple years ago to even have a retired NFL player come and talk about perseverance and never giving up in the class, and the students just loved it. Here we have, I believe, is a nurse and doc therapy as well. And then goal 4, aligning it with our LCAP with facilities are safe, updated, and well-maintained for all students and staff. Here we have school facilities will be updated and improved for cleanliness and safety. So we have the new learning center that we're all very excited about. We have safety meetings monthly with my leadership team. And we even have planet protectors. So the new learning center provides students with a dedicated space for accessing diverse resources, fostering independent learning, enhancing literacy skills, and supporting academic growth. We have a great custodial crew and great district grounds team who keep our facilities clean and safe. And Jim Pettit is amazing. Every time I have a question or I need him to look at something or do walkthroughs with me, he's very responsive. Couldn't be happier with my own custodial crew. They're very responsive on what we need, and they always have great ideas on how to keep the school looking nice and clean for our students. We practice and review our SRPs, our safety response protocols, at staff meetings as well. And then we have planet protectors with our students who promote environmental awareness and protection. It's a leadership opportunity for our kinder students and first grade students. You know, they go around, pick up trash twice a week during their snack recess, and it's really popular with the littles. So here we have the Learning Center. This was the first week of school. We even had a big event where we had the students come out to the blacktop, and they got to see the crane dropped down these modular pieces in, and it was just great. Students were very excited. And here you can see the crane. And then this is, at the moment when I took the picture in the middle, it was what the final product was looking, but 2 days later, they installed nice trees in the middle, and it looks, and that was a couple weeks ago, and now it looks, we're so excited, it looks amazing. I am thrilled to have this learning center. We're so close to having it complete, and the students are just even more excited than I am. So it's just something truly great. Here are planet protectors. They go around campus helping clean up, and they're helping reinforce having a nice, clean campus for the rest of us. Thank you.
Great. Thank you,
Great job,
Luis. That was
Luis.
a great presentation. You guys have any questions for Luis or Brett? I just have a couple. Yeah, come on back up. So, I've been reviewing the data that's behind these presentations, and I'm just curious. I mean, I know the CASP is not necessarily what we're relying on to, but it's what's on the dashboard. It's not what we're relying on for, our day to day. But what stood out to me were a couple things. I'm going to generalize, but it seems as if the listening and communicative oral skills are actually quite good with generally with the students, but our reading and writing skills, my take on that is it's because they're used to watching a lot of screens and they're not maybe not getting as much writing practice and I'm just curious if that's what you guys are, how you're taking that information.
Well, I think too, like over COVID, they weren't doing a lot of writing at home.
No, there wasn't.
And then when we came back from COVID, we actually did, with the literacy partners, we did training with the teachers. So I think we're getting back into that, and the kids are doing writing now every day in class. So that's what we're really working on and focusing on, because that was something that over COVID kids weren't doing.
Yeah, well, I noticed it was especially the case with the LPAC cohort in second and third grade. So that seemed to be the biggest differential, where you have the, at or above, or nearly met and above, was not as high as the below standard in those skills. And is that, are you attributing that to just not getting the practice?
Yeah, and I think that's what we've been working really hard on, is getting that back in and getting that practice in, just having them writing every single day.
Yeah, and then the parents are we? I mean, it sounds like it appears as if that you have a lot more parent involvement, both sites, and are we reiterating that to the parents as well, that need to practice these skills?
Yeah, and I think that we have a lot of parent involvement, but our parents also have a struggle helping their students with homework, and writing is one of those areas where it's more difficult for parents to help. They can practice their math facts easily with them and listen to them read, but writing is something that they're not doing a lot for homework, that we're doing that more in the class.
Okay, but we're focusing on that now.
Yeah.
Because I mean, the math appears to be the scores are across the board quite good.
Yeah, and we have Bridges, and it's been a great program, and having that. And I think too, like every year we kind of had a focus. So we had the write-in focus, and it takes a while to kind of get everything in place and get going. So we've been working really hard on writing though too, even though math has been our focus this year.
What I really like to, I mean, because we've touring the campuses, I mean, you can tell that that all the students are completely engaged. You visit those classrooms, and there's not a lot of noise, or if there is noise, it's all productive noise, and there's all this interpersonal connectedness, where they're working together in teams or in groups, and the calmness at both sites was commendable. So hats off to both of you.
Yeah, I think that, we've struggled with coming off of COVID, kind of working with the students to work together and collaborate together, and sharing their ideas. And we've been doing a lot, and Bridges really lends a lot towards that. And then working with the math tasks and just having kids be able to work in groups was difficult coming off of COVID. They didn't know how to work together.
Yeah. And I really like the hands-on part of the focus on, because I think, we may not see an immediate result score-wise, at this level, but we will see it at the upper levels, with the skills they build, the confidence that gives them when they get to, more complex problem solving at the higher grade levels. But going back to the writing skills, because I think we all recognize that that's probably of all the things that we really that'll help in all areas of professional skills when they get older, is being able to communicate in writing. And so with those students that are struggling a little bit, are we having pull-out groups for that?
Yeah, so with our Lucy Calkins curriculum, you have, what's it called? Small groups, and then you have one-on-one interviews with the teacher. So the teacher sits down with every single student individually and has a little conference with them, and they work together on areas of growth and in a productive way where the student doesn't feel that they're, a second grader, their paper's getting torn apart, and gradually growing those skills. What I can say is, on Tuesday, I went through a couple classrooms during writing time, and I was amazed by how much second grade and third graders were writing, because I compared it to my fifth graders a couple years ago, right after COVID, and these second and third graders had 4 to 5 pages of handwritten just writing, and I couldn't get that out of my students a couple years ago.
Yeah. Well, I and that's why I don't think we give a lot. I mean, we have to look at the CASP, and this is part of our requirement. But I just anecdotally, visiting with these students in the classrooms and just looking over their shoulder and watching what they're writing, and the composition. The scores that we're seeing on some of these scores are not indicative of what is being exhibited in the classroom, and I just, that's why the CASP kind of bugs me. Is it?
Yeah, because it's just a one test on one day. You're not seeing their writing over
time. I don't think it's exemplary, or it's exemplary. No, what am I trying to say here? Representative of where our students actually are. But I guess it's a benchmark, I suppose.
Well, too. So I think you guys were all in Mr. Morales' class and saw the work that he produced. But that little writing sample was just part of the process. So those students spent a lot of time speaking and listening. So they talked about their story. They shared it with other people. So there was a big process. It wasn't just they sat down and wrote that. And the state testing doesn't really give them the opportunity to do that whole process either. Because it's, a lot of those papers, that was over time too. Like they didn't just, sit down real quick and just write that, They worked on it. They shared it with their partners. They edited, they revised over time. And, with the test, they'd have a short amount of time to really edit, revise, and do the writing process.
Yep, agreed. All right, you guys.
Thank you both.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, thanks. Okay, we'll move on to the middle school and Mrs. Pursoon. Dr. P. Dr. P.
You guys can argue what I'm called out. I just wanted to start to say that I was so impressed with the presentation so far, and I'm so proud to be having been collaborating with Brett Weiberg for 25 years, and then being able to watch Luis's career as it has gone, and it was very clear even in year one when he was a UCSB student teacher in Gabby Ibarra's classroom. I knew it, that he was going to be not only a great teacher, but a great leader. and I think all of us in administration can find that in other people, such as Carolyn Haynes. Today I was at SBCEO with Carolyn Haynes and with Luis. Luis and I talk once a week on Zoom for an hour. So it's just really lovely to be in this leadership team. And I think all of the people behind me would agree that our superintendent is completely supportive of all of us, vice principals and principals and all people, but it's really helpful. And then Jason is very helpful to us as well. Monica is very helpful to remind us to what we're supposed to do. So I just wanted to say that I'm just really thrilled that Luis is on the team. And I've had a lot of years with Mr. Cornejo, but in the last several months, I'm leaning on him and Mr. Sabenis and Ms. Newman as well. So it's a real team here in CUST, and it's really great. So thank you so much. So good evening. Thank you to the board and the superintendent for supporting our schools, staff, students, and families. So I'm Jamie Pursuan, principal at the middle school. I've been an administrator for 12 years in Carpinteria Unified School District, 14 as a teacher. And this was my first year at the middle school, accepting the 7th and 8th grade when I went to the junior high, which was not a middle school at that time. Okay, so this is the CASP data from 2023-2024. And looking at the student achievement data from the CASP from last year, 6th graders struggled more than 7th and 8th grade students in English language arts. Rather than referring to students as English learners, I do call them as emergent bilingual students, which focuses on their strengths and their development of another language. Luis, I guess, learned that too. The state of California still uses the label English learners, but emergent bilingual students struggle to pass the CASP ELA assessment, and some struggle with the LPAC English Language Proficiency Assessment for California. In the 8th grade year last year, no English learner met or exceeded the ELA test, which if you haven't been reclassified, it's very, you're not really going to pass that test. Okay, so emergent bilingual students had a slightly better performance in math over ELA, which makes sense. However, the proficiency percentage is less than 15% in the assessment. 6th grade students from last year had a lower percentage of proficiency in math, and the ELA in 6th grade was also the grade that struggled the most. So that cohort right now is currently in 7th grade. And interestingly, most of our suspensions and behavior issues are in the 7th grade. So goal 1, increase CASP ELA and math scores to 60% and 50% respectively in grades 6 through 8. So students will be, CMS teachers assess students for their reading level 3 times a year using the STAR test for reading and math. One of our major goals is to increase the grade level reading score for our students so that they can comprehend material to be successful in their content courses. This is one of the biggest challenges that I see at CMS in the last few months. Teachers will implement the interim assessment blocks to provide students with feedback to help to prepare for the students for the state test. But that being said, our goal is not to test prep students, but to provide high quality instruction with supports from teachers and their skill set. The teacher is the key factor. CMS has 3 grade levels of ELD support classes for this population. We are using Title I money to provide after-school tutoring, with one teacher focusing solely on emergent bilingual students. So we are really honing in on that based on the data. In addition, CMS has 2 instructional assistants to support these students in their core classes throughout the day with translation and support. For all students who need tutoring, CMS provides funding for tutoring in math and English language arts. In the after-school program, tutoring is available with 3 staff members in that program and a reading hour in addition to enrichment. Teachers have had 2 professional development sessions this school year to utilize artificial intelligence as tools for students and teachers. For example, teachers have learned how to use a number of platforms such as Gemini, which is now free to schools, ChatGPT, Brisk, another tool for lesson planning and activities to enhance delivery with engagement. So we do have a very heavy focus on literacy. Again, this is a challenge to many students to get through their content classes without that level of reading. So at CMS, we have Pat Guarnero as our librarian. Pat is exceptional and makes books come alive. She works with students one-on-one to find a book that interests them. And then on the right, on the picture, 7th grade students are in a literature circle small group, and these are 7th graders. So the photos in this slide show 6th grade students working on algebraic expressions to match with a written scenario that makes sense. Students are working together to create their poster for their task at hand. In October, the board heard from Jennifer Foster from a presentation in mathematics, and these are the types of activities she presents to the students. So rather than doing worksheets or just lecture and taking notes, there's a lot of interactive activities to help students get to the standard. So again, Jennifer Foster, Math Department Chair, is working with other math teachers in our county with the UCSB Math Project. This activity was for students to figure out what the questions to help them. There were 15 other math teachers in the room watching the instruction to increase their own math instruction skills. So this was basically a demonstration with the experts at UCSB for the Math Project. And but this thing was they had to move into, there was one space that they had to pop over. There was a bunch of rules, and it took a number of times for them to get to the answer, and then the other students in the room were giving them tips after they figured out the pattern. So the LPAC assessment for English learners. So 33% of English learners scored a 4, which is well-developed English skills, and 16% of the English learners scored a 3, moderately developed English skills, and so overall 63% of English learners were reclassified this last fall. So that we are very proud of that, and then I'll show you that we had, this was only half of the students, but parents and siblings attended a reclassification event for several students who were able to attend. We had pizza and cake, and a speech was made by me in English, and then Mr. Anderson worked with some of our Spanish-speaking staff, and he did the whole speech in Spanish himself with the accents and everything. In fact, the parents were applauding him for his efforts. So goal 2, all students actively engage in learning and participating in positive school culture in partnership with parents. This is one of our biggest goals here that we've been working on for the last several months. So teachers will implement positive social and emotional skills for students and strengthen PBIS through advisory. Staff and administrators provide strong behavioral systems with rewards and consequences. Students may not have poor behavior at CMS. That's what we're really focused on right now, and it's actually getting a lot better every single week. So we're Really happy about that. Administrators created a class for our most behaviorally challenged students with 3 rotations over 3 periods in the morning to help them achieve at grade level in ELA and math. Parent involvement is encouraged and solicited by the principal and the vice principal, such as lunch supervision and engagement, additional activities supervised by parents, coffee with the principal, music concerts, back-to-school night, ELACs, school site council, and PFCMS. Positive office referrals monthly delivered by the principal and the assistant principal, and after-school program activities and outreach, including the PUSH project, the surf club, and the food bank cooking classes in the after-school program. So here's, we're fortunate to have several parents who regularly volunteer to facilitate structured games and overall supervision. It's about 2 to 4 parents each day. Most of them are 6th grade parents that were trained by me at Canalino to be parent involvement. So we now have flag football, volleyball, basketball in the gym, outdoor volleyball, pickleball in the courts, basketball outside, gaga ball, and soccer every lunch. In addition, students can go to the counseling room at lunch as well as in the library. We estimate every day there's about 75% of our 439 students are doing something active with sports every day at lunch. And that wasn't happening in the first 5 or 6 weeks, but now it's a norm. So this is called Gaga Ball, if you don't know about Gaga Ball. But Gaga Ball has been highly preferred by many students day after day. We get up to almost 40 students for nutrition and lunch just for that one activity. We probably have 40 in pickleball as well. They have multiple little places there, and we have had, we appreciate the donation for this game with a parent, and also another parent donated a lot of pickleball paddles and the balls too. So COSD funds swim lessons for 3rd graders and 6th graders across the district. Mr. Armando Ramos, who has transferred from Canalino School to Carpinteria Middle School, is leading the way with structured games with his skills as a swim coach. COSD has high participation in aquatics and is boosted by these lessons to attract students to these supports. So I think it's really strategic and helpful for students to be introduced to 3rd grade and 6th grade swim. I've been going to see them for a number of years, and even in 6th grade, some who haven't been here for 3rd grade, they kind of cling on to the steps there and they hold on to the bar, and then after like 2 or 3 days, they'll start venturing out into the shallow. So it's really, Armando has a real skill in that area. He's pretty good at that, so we're really lucky to have him. So we have made a lot of improvements in the PE program, which is one of our goals. So in the PE department, we have 4 employees. PE teacher John Hazelton, seen above. Ishmael Ortega, PE teacher. He's new, young, and very enthusiastic. Armando Ramos, PE specialist. And Carol Kerwin, who runs the girls' locker room, and she supports PE. In PE, there are 2 classes at a time throughout the day, and students in PE have not been dressing out for an athletic clothes since 2020, and they are now changing in the locker room this school year every day. I just wanted to really highlight that this is a big change from what has been going on before, and so students have really, most of the students are okay with dressing out, and they're participating. So that's really great, and a lot of different kinds of things that we're doing too. So CMS has an exceptional gym, as you all know, and for the PE classes, one group will be in the gym, and the other group will be out on the field or the tennis courts, the basketball courts, playing volleyball or running in the track. So we don't mix the two groups together because usually it's a 6th grade group and then a 7th, 8th group. So we keep those people separate. So CMS is working with MOVE, as they do with other schools in our district, which provides training for bike lessons for our students with safety skills, rules of the road, confidence in enjoying riding a bike. Around 10% of our students have never ridden a bike before. These lessons are conducted in the PE classes. So we have a great relationship with MOVE, and I think in a lot of our schools. So Mr. Johnson, Curtis Johnson, is kind of a legend, and he's our technology expert at CMS and runs a multimedia class in second period in which students learn to film, edit, and produce a Friday video weekly. Students in the ESN classes, the extensive support needs classes, are also included in this second period class, and they are on that video every week. The Friday video is a highlight for students and staff on Friday mornings. The video, if anyone is interested, is available on the CMS website every week. So after-school program, first the PUSH project. CMS has after-school programming in various areas. Using the ELOP funds, CMS works with the PUSH project run by Peter Bowning for making their own skateboards, screen printing with their own designs, and daily visits to the skate park. This year we have more females than males in this program.
I'm sorry. Do they go over to the store, or does he come to CMS?
So no, he's at they go over across to Casitas, or what is that called? Shepherd's Place.
Yeah.
So I've been there several times, and they do it for about an hour and a half, and then they ride their bikes and skateboards over to the skate park for the next hour.
Cool.
Pretty great. Okay, so this year, the district and the CMS contracted with Surf Happens for an after-school club learning to surf. So these are not people who already know how to surf. They are learning to surf. And that we were really excited to see that there was a lot of students that needed to learn or wanted to learn. A lot of students that have not had that experience before. So this is also funded by ELOP money funds, and 2 students from the ESN program are also participating in this opportunity.
Weren't we also doing after-school fishing?
That's starting on December
Started,
4th.
I think. All right,
Yeah.
great.
So, 8th grade science teacher Christopher Mastrovito teaches physics, and in the photo on the left shows students doing their egg drop project in teams. I would say I think when I was there for this class, well, it was about 50-50 who survived the drop. He does a lot of things. Mr. Mastrovito's wonderful, and they have to purchase their supplies, so they have a budget, and so they have to be very specific about what they want because they can't just take everything. They have to have their money budgeted and everything, so it's really cool. On the right side, you see Mr. Pavia conducting a class for 6th grade students in string. And all of these things are focusing heavily on student engagement. So also in 8th grade science classes, again with Mr. Mastrovito, students worked in teams to create a roller coaster that would allow the marble to get to the end and not fall out on the way. The students had a budget for their materials using Mastrovito bucks, which forced them to analyze what materials that would help them to be successful for the task. So you can see how expensive it is, 150,000 tubes and then 100,000 just for toothpicks. So roller coasters are very expensive to build. The marble, however, is free. In 7th grade science, students use their ISN notebooks to keep data on the experiment, using ice on a hot plate. Students take temperature measurements each minute. The goal was to determine at what temperature was the boiling point. They have their safety glasses on, and that was a little hot plate, so they got a lot of safety stuff before we started. I was in that class the whole time. You could see the ISN and their data thing in there, and they were every minute they had to record the temperature. So recently, one of the goals for CMS is to provide fun and spirited activities for students who reinforce the students who are making good choices. These photos show the Halloween costume contest and the Dia de los Muertos dance chaperoned by 30 parents. So that was about 120 kids, and we had 30 parents. Diana was there as well. It was really fun. We had a blast. And we are planning one for, I believe, April 4th. If you have been suspended, you are not allowed to attend. So we're hoping everybody can come next time. So goal 3, create and maintain a college and career lens at the middle school. So students in AVID learn about college and career. Tuesdays are college t-shirts and sweatshirts representing colleges and universities to bring awareness of the options. And AVID students will have field trips to colleges in the region to visit and learn what college looks like. And 46 8th graders are enrolled in first period at Carpinteria High School in engineering and culinary arts to learn about CTE pathways for college and career. So we actually already have, the 6th graders do the SBCC UCSB AVID field trip, and the second one is to UCLA. And we have a donor from CEF that provided the funding for the buses for each field trip. So goal 4, custodial staff will keep campus clean and all staff will notify administration of any safety concerns. Staff and students will have training on the standard response protocols. So the custodians will clean daily in all spaces in which students and staff inhabit with supervision of the vice principals. So Mr. Anderson is in charge of meeting with the custodians once a week and go through the facilities. Administrators will send out trash-related videos for teachers to show in advisory and conversation about being a positive contributor in this area of cleanliness and trash. Administrators hold a safety team meeting for the first Tuesday of each month from 8 to 8:25 in the conference room. All staff are invited to attend. The school office coordinator will submit work orders for safety concerns as approved by the principal or vice principal. And the vice principal will oversee the standard response protocols drills. So we've had a SRP drill 3 times in the September, October, and November. So this is from the 2023 fall dashboard, mathematics equity report. And if you look over on the right bottom where it says students with disabilities, red, so it's 219 points below standard for our students with disabilities. That's 60 of them at CMS. So from our perspective, that is completely unacceptable. And so we are working on that, and I'm going to talk to you about our strategies. So goal 5 for us, increase middle school students with disabilities performance on the math CASP test. So students with disabilities have the lowest test scores in any category. Increased, highly effective instruction will be implemented. So high-quality math instruction will be delivered in specialized academic instruction from our new special education teacher on math. The special education teacher for math is also attending weekly professional learning community meetings with the math department to align the curriculum for the students with disabilities. So he joins that PLC instead of the special ed PLC because he is trying to mirror what is happening in the general ed classroom so that those students have a chance to master those skills. He's also young and hip and so much more popular than any of us. So collaboration with general education teachers in the math department will increase grade level instruction in math for students with disabilities in math. And that's it. Oh, I just said Carpinteria Middle School is on the rise. We took that picture during the dance. It looks so pretty. We feel like we're making a lot of progress at this point. It can be exhausting at times, but we are really happy to be there, and we're really, really lucky that we have Mr. Anderson as our vice principal. He and I are in a great team. We work together all day long, and it's making progress.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie.
Anybody have any questions right now? I'd like to wait until Mr. Cornejo goes. And next up, we have Mr. Cornejo with the high school, SIPSA.
Good evening. This is my 18th SIPSA as principal of Carpinteria High School. So this is my 34th year in the school district, and I still have many more years to go. So let me give you an overview of general information of Carpinteria High School. We have 33 teachers. We have 3 academic counselors, 3 security aides, 2 assistant principals, 1 STAR therapist, and myself. The great thing about having the 2 assistant principals is that we've been able to direct different duties, which has allowed me to focus on developing programs, bringing grant money for our CT programs. As of today, our student enrollment at Carpinteria High School was 590 students. Last year, we ended the school year with 609, so we are consistently dropping over the years. Our student population is 69% economically disadvantaged. This is based on the self-reporting when they enrolled in our platform, ARIES. 11% of our students are English learners. When I started at Carpinteria High School, it was close to 32%. Special education population is 12%. 78% of our students are Hispanic, and 19% of our students are white. Our AP classes have been reduced, and I'll explain to you why. But currently, these are the classes that we offer for advanced placement. We currently have 271 students enrolled in our AP program. And this year, we've increased the number of dual enrollment courses. We are offering calculus, chemistry, environmental horticulture, pre-calculus, stats, U.S. history, up to 1865, U.S. history from 1865 to the present. And we're trying to make our teachers be the ones that are teaching the courses. Mr. Gomez is teaching chemistry this year. Ms. Garcia is teaching environmental horticulture. Ms. Arrington is teaching the U.S. history classes. And this is the first time we're going to be offering pre-calculus as a dual enrollment class for our 11th graders. Currently, our dual enrollment program has 220 students, not including the 9th graders, that are taking a personal development class as 9th graders. It's a 3-unit course. If I were to add that, then we would be close to 300 students. And I just want to emphasize, these are all courses that when students take this class, it is free for them. We pay for the textbook, we pay for the fees through a grant that we received a year and a half ago to support our dual enrollment program. Our career technical education program, we currently have 348 students enrolled in CTE, along with 46 students from the middle school. This year, we're not offering ag mechanics because we only have 1 ag teacher, but our pathways are 4 that have been well developed, and 1 is that is currently being developed. But we have agri-science. CT classes must have an introduction class and a capstone. So, for example, in our agri-science class, ag soil is the intro and ag chemistry is the capstone. In our agriculture animal science, we have ag biology along with vet science. We have culinary arts 1 and 2, and our new program, engineering and design, which has intro to engineering and advanced engineering, and that program has doubled in size from last year. For our students, CASP is only given to them in the 11th grade, literally a week after they take their AP exams. We always have about 20 of our 20 to 25 students not take the test. We are more concerned about how many of our students are getting into college, how many of our students are getting meeting the A through G requirements. But we also recognize that this is a test that is given to all 11th graders in the state, and we have to review it and work on increasing the test scores. What we did last year, when I came here last time, it was recommended by the board to provide incentives for students to do well on this test. We did provide incentives, but then we realized that the incentives, the students that went after the incentives were already getting A's in the class. But we still gave them an ice cream party for them for doing well and meeting the standard or nearly met the standard. So 40.6% of our students at Carpinteria High School scored above the standard or standard nearly met. This is an increase of 2% over last year in English language arts. What we're doing this year is we're piloting Common Lit, which is an opportunity for teachers to provide more individualized lessons for students who need either writing, reading, or just vocab. We're increasing the feedback on writing assignments to increase confidence in their writing ability. A lot of the writing is being done by hand in the classroom, so they're not using the computers. But the teachers are also encouraging students to use AI as a way for them to review their writing. We had a meeting with San Jose City College, and their response was, we're actually encouraging our students to use AI, but we're also expecting better writing because the tools that they have access to should provide them with the tools to be good writers. So that is something that our English department is doing. In the last 2 years, almost half of our English language department has been brand new. This is the year that we're actually stable. We only have one new member of our team, and we hope to move on to next year with a strong team that has been on our site at least for 2 years. In our math, even though our numbers are at 24%, when you compare it across the region, we are nearly above the average. But again, we also have very small classes of 24 students to a class, so we should be able to see an increase in this category. One thing that I do need to caution is as we do more dual enrollment classes, the standards that they're learning in those classes are not tied to the standards that are being covered on this test. So we will see either a stagnation of the test scores or a drop because more students will be moving into dual enrollment. We're increasing the dual enrollment classes next year by 4 more classes. So that will be an opportunity for students to take English for dual enrollment that currently they're not. So as we move forward, our dual enrollment program will be more robust, where students will actually be able to, we actually need to be careful in the fact that students can actually now take more than 12 units per semester, which we do not want because otherwise it's no longer free for our students. The magic number is 11 units. So those are the things that we'll have to work on as we move forward with more dual enrollment classes and having our own teachers teach those courses. That's the main idea behind this. With math, basically what you saw, I think it was at Catalino or the middle school at Aliso where they did vertical surfaces, meaning the students are interacting with each other, trying to develop the study skills to figure out how to solve a math problem rather than waiting for the math teacher to solve the math problem for them. Increase interventions for students struggling with mathematical concepts. One thing that we're going to be doing at every 6 weeks, and you'll see, I'll explain it further, but we're going to do an intervention plan for every student who's getting a D or an F. What is the teacher going to be providing the students during the advisory period? What is the counseling program? How are they going to support their students? What do we need to provide them with tutoring? How are we going to be able to support them in advisory? So all that will be part of our intervention plan for all students that are getting Ds and Fs at this every 6-week grading period. Our English language proficiency for our English learners. We have seen an increase of new students coming into our campus. We have 11 students that have been in the system or in our district for less than a year. But at the same time, our students are not being reclassified as much as they should be, because they're not taking the LPAC test as seriously, because this is a test that they've taken year after year after year. As you move up into the system, it becomes more difficult to be reclassified because of the variation of subjects that the students are taking. So when we look at a student being reclassified, we look at them at the test scores of the LPAC, but we also make sure that they're also passing their other courses. So if they're in chemistry and they're getting a D, then we sort of pause and not do that, because we don't know whether they're not understanding the concepts or is it a language issue. So most of our students at Carpinteria High School who are classified as English learners are technically lifelong English learners. They have been in our system at least 9 years. Our goals for for this school year, based on the data that we have, and I just have to emphasize, it's the data that we have is based on what we did last year. But we're also using, this year we're very lucky in the fact that we're doing our self-study for WASC. So a lot of the data that we're gathering is in real time. So goal number 1, increase student performance at or above standards for the CASP, dual enrollment classes, and earn a C or better in their classes. If a student wants to get into the UC system or the Cal State system, they must have a 2.0 average, actually a 2.5. So what we're going to do is, again, looking at our advisory. Every student has an advisory period if they're not a senior. And if they're struggling in the class, we're going to take them from a class that they're not struggling and put them into the advisory for that teacher to provide them the support. Use advisory periods to support students in need of academic support. We have CalSOAP tutors, we have our counselors, and we have intervention support systems in our advisory that we can use to support students that are struggling. And again, create an intervention plan for each grading period for students with a D or an F. The idea is for students to get a higher than a D. A D gives them the credit, but we don't want students just to get a D and just move on. A lot of them are capable of getting a C, and we want to make sure that students are able to have the opportunity when they're a senior to choose what they want to do. But the idea is to have them be college and career ready by the time they reach Carpinteria High School in their 12th grade. Goal number 2, all students actively engage and participate in a positive school culture with partnership with the parents. We have coffee with the principal once a month. We have a Instagram account that we use to communicate with our parents and students. We have our parent square. We're, with the fact that we're doing WASC, we are doing a student and a parent survey this year. We've already sent out the parent survey twice. Next week, I'll be going into the advisory periods for the students, where I will explain to them what WASC is, what are some of the findings that we have found, and then they will take a survey to see whether they support what we found in our self-study. Also, continuously do surveys to make sure the students are continued to be interested in our CT pathways and what adjustments we need to make. Increase parent opportunities to participate in school activities. In the survey that we're currently doing for WASC, almost 75% of our parents have said that they participated in at least 5 or more school activities in the last year. And something that we're going to be, I'm hoping to bring to you as an MOU here soon, which is a partnership with the California College Guidance Initiative, which is a one spot for students to be able to see whether they're on track for UC approval, Cal State approval, their GPA based on the system that they're applying, one place to apply for financial aid, for the colleges, and for scholarships. That is a requirement for all high schools to be part of by 2026, and we hope to have this up and running for the fall of 2025. But I will come to you in a couple of weeks and hoping to do a presentation so that you can see the richness of this program. Parents can actually see and compare financial award letters to see how that is going to impact and what percentage of the students will have to figure out how to do loans and scholarships. But it also has activities for the parents and the students to learn about financial aid. One thing that this will help is that students will no longer have to submit transcripts. When they apply for the UC system through the system or the Cal State system, the Cal State system is speaking to our database on a daily basis so that they can actually have an updated transcript. There's no need to upload transcripts anymore. So that is one of the biggest things that is going to help our students. And it's free. All students will graduate with high school, be college and career ready. We will continue to do college visits for our students, working with CalSOAP, increase dual enrollment opportunities. We're in the process of developing an early college program that's hoping to come down in September. I will come to you sort of in April to give you more information on that. Increase the number of students retaking courses to be A through G eligible. That's where our Student Success Center comes in. And counselors have met with every student to develop a plan. So now when we do our master schedule, we don't have to go ask the students, what do you want to take? Because they've already selected their plan for the 4 years. They can go and make adjustments if they choose to, but we can figure out how many students today. I can go online and say, I'm going to need 55 seats for this program because I have 55 students that have expressed interest in taking that course. Our master schedule is very unique, very challenging, because we have a lot of singletons and a lot of them are dependent on to be offered in the specific periods. So we try to do all of our AP classes, all of our dual enrollment classes in the morning so that when our student athletes have to leave, they don't miss those courses. Like in our Get Focused, Stay Focused, we have to do the program at a specific time because our support teams from Santa Barbara City College and AHA can only come in at specific hours. So those are things that drive our master schedule. But every time we have colleagues from other schools that come and take a look at our master schedule, they're very surprised at how much our students have the ability to enroll classes to be enrolled in and the richness of our programs for the number of sections that we have. And the other thing is we applied for a grant that we hope to hear soon to develop internship opportunities for our students to get paid in the summer in our local businesses, specifically in our engineering program and our agriculture program. That is something that we hope to be able to do, working with this, which is called the K-16 initiative with UCSB and UC Santa Cruz. Goal 4, we always do a monthly meeting for safety. The meetings are open to our staff, and then we do send out the minutes so everybody can see what we discussed. We also have a monthly walkthrough to see what we need to work on. Like next week, they're going to be doing a walkthrough on the ag facility to see what needs to be prioritized in the summer or in the winter to be ready for our animal projects. And we do have a weekly safety meeting with our safety aides on campus, just figuring out what they see and what we can do to help our students and our faculty have a safe environment. And that's all I have.
Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, kind of hard to ask questions on the CASP and the scoreboard when we're really focusing more on dual enrollment and the performance isn't really representative of what we're doing. But my question, I guess, since I've got both of you here, and I know we've talked about this in the past, and I know we're kind of aligning with the CTE, eighth graders coming up, doing ag and culinary arts. But as far as alignment of the curriculum in the core subjects, I know we've talked about that in the past, and are we focusing on that where we're having the department chairs at the middle school meeting with the department chairs at the high school, and kind of so that there's a more seamless transition as they progress through the system?
I would love to be able to say that we are. We have we have a morning meeting schedule. The middle school has an afternoon meeting schedule. But one of the things that, at least at the high school, the English language arts curriculum is being revamped. So, because we now have to offer certain components such as social media awareness, that is, it's part of now the ELA standards. Our ethnic studies curriculum is going to be embedded into our English language arts. So there's a lot of things that are different from the middle school to the high school. But I think one of the things that we all recognize is the emphasis on writing. That's going to be the biggest thing. I remember a student who wrote an essay, and I brought him in because I knew that it had been generated by AI. So I took some of the words that I knew that the student was not able to tell me what they were, and I said, you know, can you tell me what this word is? Can you tell me what that word is? And I told the student, you know, this is a great opportunity for you to learn from this, because at college, this would probably be the last meeting that you would have with an administrator. So it's teaching the students how to be using the tools. One of the things that we're using AI is taking.
I'm sorry, can you please speak on the microphone?
One of the things that we are doing with AI is the fact that teachers are able to take an essay and then break it down for students based on grade level. So they can say, you know, in this class, I have a student who can only read at the third grade level. I'm going to create that using AI so that they're able to differentiate instruction. But again, our focus needs to be in writing. This year, unfortunately, like AP is now doing everything on computer. So, but they're still doing the essays with feedback in the classroom during the daytime, so that they're not using their computers for that. So the teacher's going to have to provide them with real-time feedback. Our classes are fairly small, so it provides the opportunity for teachers to provide more feedback is there compared to having 36 students in every period like we used to have 8 or 9 years ago. So, but again, our teachers right now are not working together with the middle school. But I would love to be able to use the summer's opportunity to do that, and I think that's something that now we have a new leadership at the middle school that can also help us make that happen.
The one thing I would add, though, is the standards in the content areas are closely aligned. So the standards for the middle school are aligned to the standards of high school, and the teachers are choosing curriculum that match those standards.
Yeah, well,
So I think that's where, that's what.
That's important, but I think it also is just that the way they're being taught is similar, so that, not identical, but similar, so that when the students get to the next level, there's as seamless a transition as you can get.
Let me give you an example. The one thing that we do at the high school is calibrating grading. So the teachers in the English department will take all the essays they give, and they all pass them around and give them using the rubric. There's a 4, there's a 3, there's a 2, and they come together and say, okay, are we calibrating, are we all grading together? That is something that we can definitely do with the middle school, where we can even share some of our essays, and they can share some of their essays to see how we can calibrate together and what we're looking for in those essays. So.
And are we still planning on expanding the CTE involvement, allowing the 7th graders to participate, or?
As we get smaller, the opportunity is going to be there. One of the things that this year was planned, ultimately we had some staffing changes, but it was going to be a wheel where they were going to be exposed into culinary, engineering, agriculture, and robotics. Unfortunately, that was not the case, but that is still the plan, and the plan is to increase the number of our students. There is really no reason why we couldn't invite half of the 7th graders or 40 7th graders and 40 8th graders, and allowing the middle school to use that hour with smaller class sizes to do interventions for students that actually need some support at the middle school. But the students that are coming to the high school, we have had no discipline issues. We have had no issues whatsoever. They're engaged. They're there every day. One of the things that we have seen is the fact that they now know a teacher when they come to the high school. They know where everything is on campus. They know how our Spirit Week works, and they recognize that they need to get that area organized right away, because it used to take them 2 or 3 days to get going. Now it just took them 1 day to claim their area as freshmen.
That's great. Anybody else have questions?
Doing a great job.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Well, thank you for the reports, and thanks for sticking around for the entire evening. All right. Well, any public comment on the item 4, the SIPSA presentations?
Don't do that.
Now it's on.
Thank you. First, union leadership appreciates the principals and site councils who invested all the hard work that went into collecting, organizing, and analyzing the information at the site level and developing the engaging presentations, PowerPoint presentations we received this evening. We are fascinated and wish to better understand how the board will be able to determine whether the actual SPSA documents should be approved this evening, however, because the SPSA documents were not even specifically looked at this evening. Instead, they were referred to, and some of the data they contained was included in these really fabulous presentations. But these presentations were neither the SPSA, the SIPSA documents themselves, nor did they cover even the entire breadth of those documents. We did not look at the SIPSAs this evening. Each SIPSA provided literally thousands of data points that informed district officials on the success or digress of our school and our students. Some of these were contained in the presentations we received, but only a fraction of that data. The following school sites presented their SIPSAs this evening. For CHS, a 14-page presentation, there were 57 pages of data in CHS's actual SIPSA. For Aliso's 33-page presentation, PowerPoint presentation, there were 95 pages of data in Aliso's actual SIPSA. For Catalino, 49 pages of presentation, there were 104 pages of actual data in Catalino's actual SIPSA. And for CMS's 28-page presentation, there were 82 pages of actual data in CMS's SIPSA. Again, union leadership appreciates all the hard work that went into collecting, organizing, and analyzing the information at the site level. And the presentations we just received were awesome, informative, really great, well put together, well spoken to. But we wonder, how is the board going to determine whether it will actually approve the SIPSA when the actual SIPSAs were not presented this evening or reviewed this evening? Is your metric how much you enjoyed the hardworking principals' presentations? Or is it the SIPSA itself? We return to the questions we asked on this topic during the superintendent's report. Ms. Rigby, could you please clarify whose idea it was to provide the board with 4 school sites worth of data in a single board meeting as a single agenda item, and then ask the school board to approve or delay approval at the same board meeting when giving them a presentation that did not include the SIPSA itself? Do you have any explanation for that, Ms. Rigby?
This is your time, not a question and answer.
Yeah. It's a question, though.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, just to clarify for the community, the SIPSAs were presented to the board in the agenda, and as attachments, and each one of us had the opportunity to review them. I was reviewing them as we were listening tonight. We rarely, if ever, have the actual SIPSA presented at these meetings because they're minute detail. So comments that have been made previously are very disingenuous and dishonest. Okay, any further comments on the item 4E4, the single plan for student achievement?
Rogelio Delgado, Carpinteria resident. First of all, I stayed for an hour and a half. I listened for an hour and a half. And the four principals couldn't stay 5 minutes to listen to public comments. What is that? That's a lack of respect. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. You can't. You can't. For presentations, the good part is that the district has the resources, has the teachers, has the technology to apply to grammar schools, to the middle school, to the high school. I think that the four principals should require or think about higher than a 50 or a 60% achievement. Because if you aim higher, let's say at a 70, 75%, you might get 65. If you aim at 60 or at 50, you get, that's the highest that you can expect. You get lower results. Wonder how our schools compare to other districts in our county. About the same, a little bit higher.
No.
From what I heard, about the same, correct? No.
The superintendent's report included that data, and by and
Yes.
large, most areas we exceeded the state and the county levels.
2017, 2018, 2019, I was there. And the problems in math, problems in reading without COVID were there. After COVID, yeah, there was let's say an hour, 2 hour delay.
Thank you.
So
But
I think that
Yeah,
things
so
can
to be-
improve.
Just to be clear here,
Thank you.
this information was presented in the superintendent's annual goals just
Yes.
before the SIPSs, and apart from sixth grade in English language arts, all the other grades exceeded the county, and nearly all of them exceeded the state. And in math, all but sixth grade exceeded, and 11th grade exceeded the county and state. So, that data was provided, and it shows that we actually are above those levels in most categories. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll move on to item 5, a vote to approve the single plan for student achievements for Aliso Canalino, the middle school and the high school. Can I get a motion?
I'll move to approve. I'll second.
Any questions? Public comment on the vote?
So once again, the board is poised to approve through 100% consensus approval. All of these 4 school site SIPSAs in a single up or down vote on the SIPSA documents that inform these principals' presentations, but were not even publicly explored at this meeting. No discussion on those specific documents that you're going to be approving. Yes, it is. This evening, we enjoyed some really informative, interesting, and engaging PowerPoints and presentations about what is going on at these school sites from the perspectives of principals. And these PowerPoint presentations contain some data contained in the SIPSAs, but they contained very little, and even that data was picked and couched in a collection of wonderful photos. We did not look at the SIPSAs themselves, the very documents the board is being asked to approve. Did any of our board members notice that there was no specific presentation of the SIPSA documents at this meeting today? The very documents that contain the actual data that should inform your approval. CHS had 43 pages of hard SIPSA data attached to the board agenda, the majority of which was not presented or reviewed this evening. Aliso had 62 pages of hard SIPSA data attached to the board agenda, the majority of which was not presented or reviewed this evening. Canalino had 55 pages of hard SIPSA data attached to the board agenda, the majority of which was not presented this evening. CMS had 54 pages of hard SIPSA data attached to the board agenda, the majority of which was not presented this evening. Did our board members notice that the agenda item is not to approve the principals' presentations of what's going on at their respective school sites? The agenda item is actually, quote, vote to approve 2024-25 single plan for student achievement. Not the presentation, the SIPSA itself, which you did not look at the board meeting this evening. Don't get us wrong. Our concern is not meant to detract from those at the school sites who put this data together. Union leadership appreciates the hard work that was invested by our principals and the school site councils to collect, organize, and analyze this information. These comments were not intended to cast shade on the quality of the PowerPoints, which were awesome, or to challenge the validity even of the data itself. Again, these principals' presentations were insightful and engaging, but they were not the SIPSA itself, which is what you're voting to approve. We did not dig in to the SIPSAs. And again, the agenda item is actually, quote, vote to approve 24-25 single plan for student achievement, not vote to approve principals' presentations.
Alrighty. Glad he can count. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we'll move on to item 6, the 2024-2025 parent involvement. We're being asked to approve the 2024 parent involvement plan for Aliso, Canalino, the middle school. Each plan will be placed on the school's webpage, Parent Square, and will be used to send the plan to all parents. Hold on just a sec. Okay, can I get a motion to approve this?
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
Any questions? So this more or less mimics the LCAP and the some of the plans that were in the SIPSA, correct?
More specifically, for the Title I programs that we have at each site, Title I has very specific requirements about what parents will do, what the staff will do, and what students will do. And it's a compact that they develop with their Title I parents, their school site councils and their LPAC. And it's pretty much the same requirements and same plan year after year after year.
Yeah.
Because it's very prescriptive from Title I.
And but this is every student or just Title I students?
Title I.
Okay.
And before you've seen it, it really is more critical that the parents at the school site review it and approve it. So these Title I parent plans have been approved at each school site.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think we've all seen them, but yeah, I don't think it would be appropriate for us to make changes to them. I mean, we've
If
seen
you had
this-
questions about them, we can certainly send
Yeah,
it back
we
to the
can.
site.
We can.
But
I
the
don't
parent
have-
groups have approved them.
I don't have any questions about them.
No.
No one here does. All right. Do we have public comment on the parent involvement plans?
Okay, we'll be short and sweet here. There is no doubt that students benefit when we have more parent involvement. We need more parents involved, period. Not necessarily on campus during instructional hours, which has too often, certainly at the secondary level, too often proven to be more of a distraction to students and employees and admin, as was recently demonstrated last week with the arrest at CMS. But we do need parents to be as engaged as possible, to support their kids in and out of the school, and to consider the impact of the behaviors and values that may appear not to have a direct connection to students' academic or behavioral success, but certainly do have an enormous impact on how their students are oriented when they arrive to the school sites each day and navigate the instructional and social environments that exist. Union leadership wants to remind parents that there is no shortage of external resources in our community. We live in a great community that offers a ton of support, and then the region itself offers a ton of support, and the state offers a ton of support. This is support and external resources where our parents can receive what they need to be the strongest advocates for their students' success and well-being. These can be found in school site main offices. They can be found on our websites, or even by contacting your child's teachers or the district directly. Please know that even though teachers and support staff are not always experts on the availability of these resources that exist, they are always happy to help and support parent efforts to point them in the right direction. So don't be shy and help where you can, certainly, and let's see how we can support you as you support your kids. Thank you.
And just to be clear, there was no arrest at the middle school. Inflammatory language does not help anything.
Police intervention, would that be better?
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, move on to F, business operations and facility and warrants. The board is being asked to approve the warrants from October 18th through November 8th in the amount of $688,875.09. Warrants are issued once a week on Thursdays. The report format shows check number, check date, payee, brief account description, payment comment, and check amount. Can I get a motion?
I move to approve the warrants.
I'll second.
Any discussion, questions? Public comment on warrants.
I just want to first apologize if we misspoke. If I misspoke, we were advised that it was an arrest. Perhaps it was simply a police intervention. You're welcome to clarify if you wish. Thank you.
Again, that wasn't on the topic, but we'll move on. All those in favor of the warrants?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, move on to gifts, grants, and donations. We're being asked to approve a donation from Carpinteria Morning Rotary to the high school in the amount of $500 for the high school Interact Club. May I get a motion?
I move to approve the donation from the Carpinteria, excuse me, Morning Rotary Club to Carpinteria High School.
I'll second.
All right. Any public comment on 2A?
This comment will cover both 2A and 2B. Cause leadership and the employees we represent want to thank the community members who provide gifts, grants, and donations to the district and our students without any unethical and unprofessional strings attached. More generous donations from well-intended and generous community members. So thank you very much. It does make a difference in the lives of the kids and our ability to reach them. Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Rotary. Item 2B, donation from JW Photography to Canalino and Carpinteria Family Schools in the amount of $1,000 and $1,000 for the for Canalino and $120 for the family school. Can I get a motion?
I move to to accept the donation from JW Photography to Canalino and the family school.
Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Move on to Measure U.
No,
Did I miss something?
no, you didn't, sorry.
Oh, okay, all right. We're being asked to approve the engineering services from Collins and Associates for the Aliso Kindergarten building. This is for the a proposal for fire sprinkler engineering services for the new K building and TK building. And it includes an estimate of $12,820 for the construction document phase and $3,700 for the DSA approval phase. Estimated fee of $16,520 based on the Collins and Associates proposal will be paid for with Measure U bond funds. Can I get a motion?
I'll move to approve.
I'll second that.
That's exciting. That's a big step when you get to fire sprinklers. All right, any public comment on Measure U? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, move on to H, personnel summary. We have 5 assignments, 1 resignation, and 16 coaching assignments. Can I get a motion to approve?
I move to approve the personnel summary.
I'll second.
Any questions? Public comment on personnel summary.
Okay, so a few quick observations on the personnel summary. One being gratitude to all of these coaches that are picking up these assignments and working with kids. It may be clear to some, but you may notice that the majority of these coaches are people who live in town. And the ability to be a coach and work with kids after school and before school has a lot to do with whether or not you can afford to live in town. And so when we talk to you about issues of compensation and benefits and keeping up in some way, which has clearly not happened in this district with the cost of living, it impacts issues like this, where we can make sure that we have staff, support staff, teachers, employees who can afford to live and be a part of these kids' lives, not just during the instructional day, but outside of the instructional day, in their neighborhoods, in their community. We also are disappointed by the resignation of Ms. Valles as an instructional assistant 3 in the SPED program. And we are very happy to see that the district has 5 new instructional aides. 4 of them at Canalino, the school that has been, you've been denying it, but clearly there was a need for instructional aides at Canalino, and especially in the special education program that had devolved to really concerning levels that you also denied. But when we see that 4 instructional aides were hired at Canalino, it's kind of the proof in the pudding there that there was something going on. We're really glad to see them there now, though. We hope that the district creates conditions that actually maintains them, and we don't see them leave prematurely, unnecessarily, simply because of either working conditions or the inability to pay these people properly. Okay, thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Future agenda items. We got the pool feasibility study coming up, solar update, and a revised 24-25, I think our first interim budget presentation. Public comment on future agenda items.
Okay, so union leadership asks again that the district return to the HR presentation of October 8th and put that back on a board agenda. We encouraged this at the last board meeting, and around hour 1:58:30 of that last board meeting, I misspoke on a very small but meaningful detail. The HR presentation that we requested be brought back to the public contains some data that I mischaracterized. I had stated that it contained a slide that addressed the ethnic and socioeconomic background of our students. And in fact, that was a mistake. I knew that, but I said students instead of our employees. That mistake, so it did not contain the ethnic or socioeconomic background of our students, but rather the ethnic and socioeconomic background of our employees. The point we were making, the point that the union was making, which a few of you clearly missed, and if you go back and look at the comments, I believe by Ms. Diamond primarily, the point we were making was why would the ethnic and socioeconomic background of the labor force be relevant in that PowerPoint if it is not relevant to the composition of our district leaders? You've heard the union here before. Another issue we would like brought to a future agenda item is the concept of remuneration. And you've heard us say that we believe strongly, just as City Hall believes, or I'm sorry, the City Council believes, and just as many other boards believe, that when you provide some form of compensation to board members, it increases the diversity of the pool. We're not simply talking about race or gender or group identity issues. We're talking about the socioeconomic experience and background of the people who can afford to serve as board members. And it's very different. Your ability to afford to serve as board members is very different if you're receiving compensation than if you're doing it out of the goodness of your heart, purely, only. There are a lot of very well-intended people who would like to do the work you do and would bring a tremendous amount of talent to that work out of the goodness of their heart, but they simply can't afford to. Why is it that in the human resource presentation, and there was no explanation, it was simply data for the sake of data, it appeared, which is why we'd like to bring it back and ask some questions. But why would that make a difference in regard to the labor pool in the district, the socio and economic background of our teachers and our support staff, and not make a difference for the very leaders who are charged with making the most important decisions on the topic of the district operations? Thank you.
Move on to board calendar. Anything, Monica? No. All right. Board announcements. Just like to say there was a successful FFA drive-through barbecue. Thank you to everyone who supported that. Looking forward to a fall sport or winter sport season. I think the girls have their first game tomorrow here at home, so come check them out. It's going to be an exciting season with the girls water polo, along with basketball and soccer they have going on. Yeah, so looking forward to that. So with that, I think we're adjourned. Thank you.